Welcome one and all. This is WESN Content Capital, Face of Sports. And as usual on a Thursday, it's all about the NFL recap. Sean Michael Small is alongside me as we look at what would have transpired on week 3 of this NFL season. Sean, first of all, going into this week, a lot of expectation, a lot of talk. After 3 weeks, before we delve into the match and dig deeper, would you say after 3 weeks of the games, you have a fair idea what's going on, or you're still waiting and watching and observing some of the teams?
I think so. I think there's a fair idea with what's going on at the very top. The teams that pass the eye test, not necessarily the teams with the wins, but pass the eye test, that consistently seems as though they're competent. Maybe they lost a close game. Maybe it was a game on the road. It was a Thursday game. It was a Monday game, or they had a Monday game the week before, so the timing is a bit off. Not to say that that's always an excuse, because I don't think the Thursday game for my Patriots was an excuse for the manner of how they lost, right? Remember, the week before they lost, but I was happy, right? So like teams like the Ravens, teams to some extent like the 49ers, they lost to the Vikings notwithstanding, the Detroit Lions, like when you see the stars setting up, when you see that we are forming our identity and we're leaning into a identity, we're not kind of running around like chickens with our heads cut off, we're not really sure what it is we're supposed to be doing, because at the end of the day, no team is going to be just perfectly balanced to say, well, we could do anything. No, because you're going to be limited by what your personnel could do. And even a team that tries to get versatile personnel, like traditionally Belichick's Patriots, you would still have limitations with regards to your ceiling of certain things. To say, well, you know, that's why they look like an amoeba, because it was purposeful. We have all-rounders, we have less specialists. So we're not going to force, you know, everything. We're going to have, a lot of our game plan is going to be based on what you do well. We'll try and attack your weaknesses. You could be like that, but then your team will look a certain way. But with regards to a lot of these teams, I think one of the other things is injuries. The Rams and the 49ers, maybe the long seasons they've been had the last couple of years has been catching up with them. They have 2 key players on injury reserves, and they had 2 key players out when they faced each other this last week. And those injuries are essentially potentially going into the following week. So teams like that, it's very hard to say, right? But I do think that they have some amount of separation with the eye test, right? Some of the veteran quarterbacks, they're looking more steady, they're looking more consistent. They look like they have a command of the field and they know how to attack the defense. Whereas the young guys, all as good as they might look maybe last year, or the rookies now who only have 3 games of tape, they're not all looking like what was promised, the brand new and flashy.
All right, so let's start. First game up, Cowboys versus the Baltimore Ravens, the Dallas Cowboys. Let's go.
Touchdown.
That's what good defenses do. Make the offenses fired in there to tight windows.
Here's Elliott's got a first down. They have done a great job, too. Blitz coming. It's picked up. Prescott wide open in the middle. It's Ferguson. Hauls it in inside the 30 and a first down for the Cowboys.
He needs to be that number 2 threat in this offense.
Quick throw this time behind Lamb. His first catch. Justin makes it beautifully, and he's inside the 10. And it's first and goal. CeeDee Lamb, top of your screen. Prescott looking that way, goes over the middle. There's Lamb, catches on the slant inside the 10. And the ball came out, it's loose. Baltimore, I think, got it. They do. Nate Wiggins punched it out, and the Ravens recover.
Welcome back, welcome back. Well, Shawn Michael Small, the Dallas Cowboys, Baltimore Ravens, both of those teams looking to rebound from defeats.
The thing is, the Saints had a scat back. Alvin Kamara is a speed guy, pass catching guy, not necessarily a power runner.
Right.
Last week, it was almost as though, well, we didn't need a power runner. Our line was just moving you out of the way. Now, the thing with the Ravens was the read on them or the notes on them is that their right side of their offensive line ain't so good, right? So, not expecting to have a lot of power coming from that side. However, you have Derrick Henry. And this game, I'm starting to see things that I wanted to see since the playoffs. Even before, when they didn't have Derrick Henry. Run the ball. The one thing that they're doing, which I found curious, and then as the week went on, well, rather as I saw the other games,
Yes,
right?
Yeah.
What kind of formation they're running the ball from. And this is where you actually have a dilemma. Lamar Jackson is so good. Do you build the offense around him or do you build the offense around Derrick Henry? Because generally speaking, in an NFL offense, you can do it around the quarterback or the running back. You could also kind of do it around the wide receiver, but to some degree then certain aspects, you're still doing it around the pairing of the wide receiver with the quarterback. So in the case of Lamar, he's so dynamic, are we building it around him? And it seems as though that's what they're trying to do. And in doing that, the run formations are not always the best for Derrick Henry. Because if you do a more college-style shotgun formation to run from, you could do a lot of fakes, you could do a lot of run-pass options where he kind of has the ball and he puts it out for Henry and Henry runs across in front of him and then he might pull the ball back or he might give it to Henry. And then, of course, the defense has to read. Remember, they have 5 300-plus pound gorillas in front of them. So it's not like you're going to see these two guys as big and tall as they are. You have these huge linemen in front of them, right? The defense has to figure out in a couple seconds where that ball went. You have a man running off to the side with a full head of steam, and he's 230 pounds or some ridiculousness. And then you have probably one of the most fleet-footed athletes in all of NFL. Who's the alternative? Who might be going in the other direction? What do you do? So I get that. I understand that. But I think with regards to the Cowboys, unfortunately, early on in this game, that fumble rarely, when you're facing a running team, it hurts even more in a way to commit a turnover, because you know that this is not going to be a shootout where they're gonna because it's in some ways it's easier to force turnovers with interceptions, right? And it's also riskier to throw the ball a lot. So if they're going to run the ball, it's a safer option. You can't bank on them giving you a return fumble, right? So they're going to ball control you to death. And then on top of that, especially in the first half of this game, they were quite successful running out of the shotgun, which is traditionally not supposed to be allowed. It's not the best formation to run from. If Derrick Henry is to Lamar Jackson's right, most likely he's either running to the left with a full head of steam, or he's taking the ball and he has to shift direction and he's going to lose a little bit of time. He's not going to build up momentum yet. And then the offensive line in a two-point stance, essentially what that means is they're standing up. Because in a shotgun formation, it's a pass protection formation, right? And you're getting ready to kind of fall back and fan out to protect the passer. So you get outside of the center who has to snap the ball, everybody else is going to be in a two-point stance. It's kind of like track. Why do track athletes start in a four-point stance, right?
Yeah.
To pick up.
Yeah.
The defense is going to be in a three-point stance, so they're going to have either one hand on the ground or two hands on the ground, so that, again, they could get push off, right, on the snap. They could get acceleration coming off of that stance. The offense, when not doing that themselves, I think loses a lot of power, a lot of that initial burst to try to get that push off. But it seems as though they didn't need it, right? Also, a lot of times it's a misdirection play. They'll be falling back as though it's pass. Meanwhile, it is a run. The defense will be like trying to run up the field to pass rush and engage the blockers or shed the blockers or whatever. Meanwhile, it's a fake. Your running back is kind of running past them. So, but generally speaking, it's not supposed to be that effective. Traditionally, this is not a running formation. I don't know if it's because of the weaknesses of the Cowboys' defensive line, which again, one of the things is compared to last year, this year now, we're getting 2 situations in a row where it seems as though, and this is a power running team now, If you want to have playoff aspirations, you have to be able to deal with things like this. Because as you will see in some of the other highlights, the Ravens are not the only team willing now to look at the run to balance off their
So
offense.
at this stage, what was going through your mind?
Oh, I thought it was a complete rout. I thought it was going to be horrible because let's not forget, as much as it's centered around Lamar, Derrick Henry was running really well. For the guy who technically, he is the add-on to the main focus, he was getting focus yards. That's bad. When it's not completely built around you, but you are damaging the defense as though it is built around you, getting that yards. And then on top of that, I do believe Lamar Jackson is one of the best passers mechanically. He has the skills. You cannot underestimate that. And he was getting yards as well. So it seems as though more often than not, the Cowboys defense not only couldn't answer the running game with power, but then they also got fooled with some misdirection here and there. Lamar got some yards. It seemed as though everything was ruling in the Ravens' favor. On top of that, Kyle Van Noy, old Patriot, so close near and dear to my heart, he was getting after the quarterback. He sacked Dak Prescott, I think, at least once in the first half. So it seemed as though the Cowboys were done because their running game was anemic. And one of the comments coming out, I think Tom Brady was calling this game, basically was, look, the Cowboys, they are stuck. They have to take half their playbook and just check it out. And the Ravens know it. The Cowboys know the Ravens know it, but they can't do anything about it, at least at the time. And they were being one-dimensional. And they're built to be one-dimensional in the other way. They're built to take the lead and to force you to be one-dimensional into their defense. It doesn't work. It is so ineffective to the point where it's a risk-reward, a high-risk, high-reward situation. When the reverse happens to them, it ain't pretty. And they used to have the best offensive line in football, multiple first-round picks. I don't know why they saw the success of doing that, and they never really went back to it, and I don't understand why.
All right, let's watch the end of this first game. Ravens versus the Cowboys.
Again, with the declaration, you just don't have to worry about it. Here it comes.
Left side, and it's loose, and Dallas has it. Oh, look like that. A two-possession game. Cowboys get the onside kick. C.J. Goodwin, and this one's not over.
Wow. 4. Tight coverage.
Scott, time going far side. It is caught right at the marker by Tolbert. Where do they spot it? And it's close.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's like they're pressuring. All-out blitz.
Third down. Prescott quickly inside. It's Brooks. Inside the 20, all the way down to the 15. Jalen Brooks.
Huge plays right here. You have 3 downs to do it.
Prescott, end zone, got it for the touchdown. Jalen Colbert. Can't find anyone. Prescott staying alive, floating high and incomplete. Dowdle had a little seam, but Prescott with heavy pressure. And so it remains a 10-point game with 7:07 to go. Nope. Jackson, straight throw, incomplete, and it'll stop the clock.
Get at least a quick pass to get out of the shadow of your own goalpost.
Looking for something. There's Deuce Vaughn out of the backfield, and that'll give him a little bit room for Deuce's squash there by Roquan Smith.
When I see him at his best, he's excitable, he brings the juice, brings the energy.
3rd and 2 here. Prescott's got time. Find a way. Now Lipke, the fullback, uncovers and makes a big play. Hunter Lipke racing across the 40 and a big first down conversion.
Looks like they're pressuring. Didn't deal with this very well last time.
Here it comes. Prescott lets it fly into double coverage. It's incomplete. Oh. There's a penalty flag, too. I wonder if that's going to be on Ferguson. Kind of tackled Eddie Jackson there.
Prior to the pass, illegal contact. Defense number 32. Wow. Penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Tell you, Orr's been very successful dialing up some of these blitzes.
They go underneath. Dowdle's got some room. Rico Dowdle breaks the tackle. Down to the 15 he goes. Lamb's in the slot. Now to 3rd and 10. Prescott floats one. Corner. Target. He's got it. Touchdown, Dallas. Blitz. Jackson sees it far side, completes it for a first down. Money throw from Lamar Jackson, and Zay Flowers on the receiving end. Right now, 2nd and 9, 2 minutes to go.
So all runs here.
So it'll be on a jet sweep. No, it's a fake. How about that fake? And Lamar right up the middle for a first down. What a fun game. Ravens come back to a big lead. They hang on at the end. Lamar finishes it off. A game they dominated on the ground.
Did Dallas get so close, Sean, because they played well, or was it that the Ravens took their eye off the ball?
Both. Dak was executing a one-dimensional offense still. Although I do wonder if, to some extent, they were able. It's tricky. Strategically, you're down, and as time goes on, it's harder to justify running the ball because that's going to eat up clock, and you don't have time to spare, right? But it seemed as though they were able to do just enough to kind of keep the Ravens off balance. But the real issue, and I think why they were successful, because they were passing a lot. You know, it was essentially still a one-dimensional offense coming out of Dallas. What was the difference in the second half, or especially the fourth quarter compared to the first half? Well, notice the Ravens score after around the halfway mark of the game. They got 28 real fast, and then they stayed at 28. And the Ravens offense couldn't stay on the field. What does that mean? At least to me, that's what it appeared like late in the game. It meant that their defense had to stay on the field. If their offense can't keep possession of the ball, their defense is going to have to continue to pass defense, continue to run around with receivers, continue to try to rush the passer, and it probably just was, which was ironic because the time of possession is in favor of the Ravens, but towards the end, it just seemed as though they were starting to get gassed, right? Remember, this is at the end of a full game anyway. So one of the reasons why you don't want to give up early points to a running team is that, in theory, if I'm going to magically stop them in the fourth quarter, why couldn't I stop them at the start of the game? So they're going to continue to run the ball, have success, chew out the clock, and if they have a lead, it doesn't matter if I go score for score with them because they're going to close this game out really fast. But because they can keep possession of the ball to chew out the clock, to give their own defense some time to have a breather so that they could kind of keep up cardio-wise with this game, I think it kind of undermined the overall game plan. So now, it's not to say that they did a lot of throwing when they were trying to close out the game, but like when it's 3rd and 3, and I pointed it out, why are you trying to pass the ball? You have Derrick Henry. They had situations where they went into proper running formations, right? I formation and so forth. And it was successful at times. Why they didn't do more of that? Yes, it's boring and it's the obvious. But hey, you're playing the Cowboys. The Cowboys are the one team. If you can't do the obvious, the conventional is approved, has the consensus for a reason. If you can't do that to the team with one of the greatest run defense weaknesses in the entire league, then you have no business calling yourself a run-first team, right? And Shannon Sharp said something similarly. Where was the I formation when you had 3rd and short to just get your yards, to stay on the field so that you could keep the drive moving? And it could have been like 28-12, and your defense would have been gashed, because also, in a league where injuries can happen at the drop of a hat, you don't want to have to extend the game unnecessarily. So that was the one thing. The Ravens disappeared. Their game plan, it almost like if they forgot how to play a little bit towards the end of the game. And it was only because that, I think the Cowboys went for multiple two-point conversions. And if they didn't do that, if they just kicked the extra point for the first 2 touchdowns, and then maybe the last one you could have risked it for the biscuit, right? But it was just almost freaky. This comeback by Dallas, near comeback, started basically just when Tom Brady's production team zoomed in and assigned 28-3 Atlanta versus New England, right? It was 26, I think, 3 for the Cowboys at the time, right? Cowboys were down by about 23 points. And Brady's now talking about what it took to do their comeback in the Super Bowl, and Dallas comes to do it. The difference, though, is, and this is where the Cowboys coaching staff, if they're worth their salt, really should have an issue with their players. The looks of the faces of the Dallas Cowboys players for most of the game, including the stars, CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, they look defeated, they look out of it, they look like they didn't want to be here. And to me, because it's not like we saw CeeDee Lamb catching those 2 touchdowns, right? And we saw the fullback catching, we saw the tight end going deep. To me, that actually is a good showing. That quarter and a half was a good showing by Dak Prescott because he was the MVP of that comeback. And I didn't really see, maybe Micah Parsons did some stuff on defense. Like at that point, I was more tuned in on what was the Dallas offense doing. And he is actually stubbornly throwing the ball, finding success, right? And he's not giving up. He is literally having a near Tom Brady moment, but his team sideline before. And yes, of course, when they're starting to come back, everybody's excited, but it's like, no. You need to have this energy, no matter how much you are down. 15 minutes, 20 minutes earlier, you would have given yourself a chance to win this game. Meanwhile, Harbaugh needs to figure out why his team can't close out strong.
All right. Cowboys not looking good. Well, we'll see. Still a long way to go. Let's go. Game number 2. Sean Michael Small. Game number 2.
Chiefs and Falcons, big one.
Chiefs again. Let's go.
Second and inches and a fake to Bijan Robinson. Cousins runs deep, comes back to Mooney again. He's got it. Mooney to the 36-yard line. Week 1, Joe Burrow. Week 2, and now Cousins in their first road game for KC. Second and 11. Cousins scans underneath Ray McLeod on the run. And McLeod to the 22-yard line. Empty backfield. And the throw wide open for the touchdown, Drake London. What a start for Atlanta.
So you're going to see the communication trying to happen right here. If they do that, what are we going to do? And so one of them heard one thing. Najee Johnson thought they were going to switch it off. And on the outside heard something completely different. So a very impressive drive on top of what we saw on the back end.
Second down from the 11. Mahomes rips it. It's caught by Xavier Worthy, the speedster to the sideline. Very close to that first down mark at the 21-yard line. Change up front at that left tackle position on second down. Mahomes completes it. A strike to Rashee Rice across midfield into Atlanta territory. They were both signed during training camp. Some big veteran additions to this team. Again, Mahomes looking to throw, going to take off instead, take a hard hit. About a yard shy of the first down. Troy Anderson, the linebacker. Kelsey, bottom of the screen. Throw right is caught, tumbling out of bounds is Rice. Let's see where out of bounds he's marked. This play 17 of the opening Chiefs drive. Falcons bring pressure. Mahomes lost it. It's intercepted. Unbelievable Justin Simmons. That is the 4th straight game he's picked Mahomes. It's the 6th time he's intercepted Mahomes in his career. Bolton's pretty special dude in there. 3rd and 9. Extra man coming. Cousins. Pocket. Lapsed on him a bit. A flag thrown. Flag is in the backfield. The pass is incomplete downfield.
And Matthew Judon, who ends at 15.5 sacks a couple of years ago.
Quick to Rice through some tackles. Rashee Rice shows that strong catch and run ability. Hardman in the game as they fake it to him, and it's P-Ryan running inside to the 30. Mahomes. Now the magic happens. He's throwing sideline. Of course it's complete. It's Justin Watson inside the 20. 2 long drives by the Chiefs. First one was 17 plays, ended with a turnover. This is play 13 of this drive. And Mahomes throws. It's complete. It's raced to the end zone for the Kansas City touchdown. On Lorenzo Carter. At the end there. Meantime, the touchdown pass to Rice, 2nd of the season.
So good. It's the subtlety of the picks of this offense.
Here comes the Chiefs. Atlanta looked good for a while, Sean Michael Small, but the Chiefs are beginning to get back in the game.
Here's the thing. I think you have 2nd round pick from last year's draft, Rashee Rice, who was actually looking good last year, right? Now he looks like one of the best receivers in the game. The question always is it the talent of the player or is it Andy Reid? I feel Andy Reid gets neglected You know, Brady and Belichick, you have those things. What about Reed and Mahomes? Mahomes gets all the accolade, and Andy Reid is like, oh yeah, he's the best coach in football right now. But like, no one ever seems to remember when they're talking about the greatest of all time conversation, right? But Falcons, like I told you, they have legit 3 top 10 draft picks within the last 2 to 3 years on their offensive side of the ball. So it makes sense that you have a guy like Kirk Cousins. He has talented guys. Yes, the tight end Kyle Pitts is severely undersized. I really don't like his physical body type. But listen, if he could be a matchup nightmare, a different kind of matchup nightmare to say Travis Kelce, that's fine. And he puts in the work. At one point, he was like almost all they had in the lean years when he was a rookie. But they have talent on offense. So you get in this veteran, and all of a sudden, right, you're seeing how when somebody knows what he's doing and he could give you that consistent execution, all of the talent now that you have, it could come alive. The Chiefs are not an offensive team. They're a defensive team. They just happen to have the best guy in the center, and they do have talent on offense. But to some extent, they're a defensive team. So this was a pretty good matchup, and I think Atlanta looked well at the start of this game. The Chiefs also looked well. This was very enjoyable to watch because it didn't feel as though there was a mismatch, one team was better than the other, or they were glaring weaknesses that were an eyesore to watch. You know, it just seemed like we have 2 teams, we know what we're about, we're going to execute, let's see who wins.
All right, we're going to take a short break. We've got the 3 o'clock news next. This is WESN Content Capital, Face of Sports, NFL recap when we return. Welcome back, welcome back. All right, let's go immediately after the news, immediately to the second part of that game.
Right to the line of scrimmage, see if they can trap this bunch on the field.
They do, it's Algier into the secondary at the 28-yard line for the first down.
It's tough to get to that edge, and they have not been able to cut back either.
Robertson back in, this throw complete for the first down to Pitts.
It's a wider defense that's harder to find those gaps in those cutback lanes.
7, Cousins to London. First down, almost lost the football, but Drake hangs on at the 46. The 46, Ray McLeod trying to get some blockers, getting the edge, and Ray McLeod stays in bounds at the 22-yard line. They're going. It's Cousins. He's throwing. It's caught by London for the first down at the 11-yard line. 3rd and 5. 6 for a touchdown. Pressure comes. Picked up. Cousins end zone. No. Trying to get it to Kyle Pitts. Play clock running down. 4th and 5. And they'll go for it. Pressure comes. Cousins lost it. And it's incomplete. Trying to get it again with Hook there in coverage. Drake London, the intended receiver. Mahomes milks the clock down. From the pocket, he throws incomplete. Don't know if that was a wrong number or they missed seeing where the hand was, but it was not by the face there. From the 40, on first down, Cousins rips it. Drake London gains a dozen. The 48, first down as we close in on the 2-minute warning.
But you also have Mahomes on the other side. You don't want to leave him time should it work out.
Sneak one in before the 2. Cousins throwing, incomplete. Everything covered, but a flag. In the secondary, it's McDuffie covering Ray McLeod. 32-yard line.
Interference. Defense number 22. By rule, ball be placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
Final minute 10 of regulation. Cousins pumping, throwing inside. It's caught on the turn by London. A yard short of the first down. If Atlanta picks up the first down. Here is the row with Algier inside, and second effort is close to the line. Andy Reid calls a timeout. So too does Raheem Morris. Cousins. Robinson. Stopped in the backfield by Bolton. City goes to LA to play the Chargers. Mahomes will take the knee here. 40 seconds. And then they'll follow that with Tampa Bay on a short week on Thursday. So first of a 3-game homestand. A lot of respect there with those guys.
Ah, Lord. In the end, Chiefs continue to win. Shawn Michael Small.
Yeah, but it was only a 5-point lead.
I almost feel that they're in second gear. They're just going through the motions, but they're winning.
I think this game, it's a low-scoring game, not because the teams couldn't score per se, but rather, well, first of all, there were a lot of field goals in this game, right? So they were able to move the ball, but not actually get it in the end zone. But then also, there's the fact that, look, because it was kind of even, Chiefs had time of possession, though, and that probably was the difference in the score. You know, it took almost a 10-minute time of possession difference to translate to a 5-point, not even a whole touchdown difference in score. Falcons had an issue with third down efficiency, but to some extent, I think both of these teams are good, but they're also trying to figure things out. Pacheco is on injured reserve. For the Chiefs, they got back, I think it was Steele or Hunt. So the running back that was part of their offense in the first couple of weeks wasn't really part of this game, and they're not going to have him moving forward, which is a shame because I think he was really starting to turn some heads about, oh, the Chiefs have a running game, and then, Travis Kelce hasn't really been used that much. He had a few catches in this game. Again, I do wonder is it scheme, or is it maybe scheme in terms of pass protection, scheme in the pace of putting Rishi Rice in the forefront, or is it that they're trying to hold him in reserve? Meanwhile, the Falcons have young players, which for their development, it might actually be really good that they have a Kirk Cousins. This is one of the things the issues I have with your team, Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence probably needed somebody like a Kirk Cousins, although he wouldn't have been a backup. But someone of that caliber, with that veteran presence, who knows what he's doing. You don't just want a journeyman that doesn't really know what he's doing, right? But someone with, like an Alex Smith. Alex Smith was that for Patrick Mahomes. Trevor Lawrence probably could have used that, because I don't think, basically, the only quarterback where you just throw into the deep end and wait until he saves himself from drowning was Peyton Manning. And you just don't get that. Those things do not grow on trees. Those things don't grow anywhere. That was some mythical bird that they found in Eden, which was found behind, right, El Dorado, which was found at the base of Mount Olympus that you could only find after following the rainbow. So there hasn't been another quarterback like Peyton Manning for a reason. And a guy like Kirk Cousins, he would have helped greatly a rookie quarterback in the quarterback room, or in this case, all of the young wide receivers, running backs, and tight ends that the Falcons have, that they invested a lot of high draft picks in.
Are you expecting more from the Falcons this season?
It's hard to tell, because with Kirk Cousins, he's not necessarily an elite. But I would argue right now, a lot of the guys who, some of the analysts, the talking heads on ESPN, like Dan Orlovsky, apologies, Mr. Orlovsky, that this is where there's some light at the end of the tunnel.
Don't apologize.
There's some light in the end of the tunnel for you. Yeah. CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson, they were expected to be elite. What is elite? Even Mahomes had less than 300 yards this game. They themselves, they're not blowing off the top. So when Kirk Cousins comes in and he's probably like, I could get 200 to 300 yards, just like they can. I could run around, just like I could make similar decisions, just as good decisions, just like they can. But I have the experience. So when they want to hit me with something that is rare and like off the beaten path, I have a wealth of experience that I could utilize to try and figure this out.
All right.
They don't. Yeah. So I think the Falcons, maybe they're not going to win the Super Bowl, but don't underestimate them. I would put them potentially above some of the teams in your division, some of these rookie quarterback teams like the Bears.
All right.
They're probably going to win their division too, depending. It's between them and the Saints. And your boy Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, don't forget the Baker man, Buccaneers. All right, let's go. He didn't have a good week this time, though. Anyway, let's go to game number 3.
This is...
For Juszczyk, he's going to be all over the field blocking.
A fake to Mason. Purdy has time and a target and a first down. Out past the 45, and it is Brandon Ayuk. Toss Mason with a couple of blockers. And a hard-earned run down near the 30-yard line. Good job by Saubert. Averaging 6 per rush. Now Purdy looking to throw. And he'll find Mason, who makes a nice move and may have done enough to pick up the first down. Now the rookie is Isaac Guerrero, who had 1 carry last week, the first of his career. A fake toss. Purdy looking. Wide open man. It's Juwan Jennings. It's a San Francisco touchdown.
Watch Brock Purdy right here. He wants to throw this ball to Ayuk. They fake the toss, and his eyes are left all the way. But look who he has right here, Juwan Jennings. He keeps the safety away from it, and there goes Jennings.
Boost for the secondary. On 3rd and short, Stafford, collapsing pocket, got away, and the 36-year-old was looking for Tyler Johnson, but could not find him. They'll go play action right down the seam for Jennings again, looking for another big play, and he's taken down in Rams territory. That ball got knocked out, but he's down by contact as Cameron Curl chopped him down. Preseason holdout signed a 3-year, $82 million deal before the season began. Purdy on 1st and long, and he gets all that yardage back, and he connects with that tight end, Eric Saubert.
You want an equal opportunity strike zone size here is basically what we're getting at.
2nd down for Purdy. Underneath, it is Ayuk trying to slither inside. Purdy stepping up, pressure coming. Purdy throws on the move to the end zone. It's a touchdown. An official's hat is off, which may indicate that the receiver stepped out before coming back in and reestablishing.
Well, watch these 2 receivers. They're running out routes. They're going to show inside moves.
Next to Jackson, who's back from suspension. Stafford will hand it off for Kyron Williams. Good job by Parkinson on the edge. Their tight end does a good job blocking out on the perimeter. Keep it conservative with the handoff for Williams. And the Rams let the punt it away. Originally started as a triple option running back for the Yellow Jackets. He gets the fake. Purdy with pressure coming. Got rid of it to Ayuk. Kobe Durant twists him down, but it's good for a first down. A twist up front by the Rams gets picked up. Purdy out of the pocket looking for Ayuk, and it's juggled and dropped. And Tre'Davious White did enough defensively to prevent the catch, which would have been good for a first down.
Thank you very much. At this stage, it's all San Francisco.
Yeah, and the thing is, so you look at the injuries. I think when I saw this game happening and you're seeing this score, you're like, this is going to be a blow. This ain't going to be pretty. And I believe I knew that one of the receivers, I think I knew Puka Nacua was out or Cooper Kupp was out. I didn't know both of them were out, right? One on injured reserve, so you have to wait for him to come back, I think on November the 8th or something like that. The other one out for the game. So who is Matthew Stafford throwing to? At this point, with regards to the narrative, the media might not necessarily know in general. Of course, the true day-to-day football people, particularly those who follow the Rams, they'll know the names of the other guys further on the depth chart, right? I don't necessarily know them. So right now, I'm like, who's on the Rams that I know? Just in general. Donald retired last year, best defensive player, best player, pound for pound in football, and you lost the 2-star wide receivers. So it's almost like Stafford is there by himself. It's like when Jordan was by himself and he was looking at Dennis Rodman. It's like, you left me out there. You know Scotty's not out there. I'm by myself. What am I going to do? Meanwhile, the 49ers, one of the things that I've been saying for the last 2 years, and everybody's been saying, how much weapons they have. So even though they also have 2 guys out, they have McCaffrey out on injured reserve, which is a big deal. And then Deebo Samuel is out for the game, right? Last year, I would have been, when we've seen things like this happen, it was bad. It was really bad. But this game, it seems as though Purdy leveled up. And he was like, I don't have my Swiss Army knives. Well, then I'll have to go conventional with, he's a wide receiver, he catches the ball, he's a running back, he runs the ball. I'll go conventional, I could execute. So in that regard, impressive coming out to the 49ers a little bit. Because again, it's not like if this was last year and Aaron Donald was there wrecking their offensive line, it would be even more impressive.
Yeah.
But it's not as though literally their defense came down to one player, right? So this was actually good. And then Juan Jennings and his performance, basically scoring all the touchdowns, catching all the touchdowns, right? He's technically the number 3 receiver. They're that deep that their number 3 guy, not the slot guy. I think for football, people usually number 3 guy is the slot guy. That's the guy that's on the inside. You have 2 guys on the outside. Traditionally, he is literally the 3rd option. But in certain offenses, the number 3 guy is the 2nd or 1st option. But in this offense, I would argue that he's not even just the 3rd option. He's like way down there because you're supposed to have McCaffrey and Kittle and even the fullback, right? He's playing lights out. And that's probably one of the reasons why they got such a big lead. I don't know if the Rams kind of thought he was going to be that big of a threat. So they're probably thinking, guard Ayuk, guard Kittle, right? Who's the running back that they have in the back there? Maybe we need to give the fullback a little bit of attention. And here this guy comes now. 3 scores, right? Before the end of the game. Having a career day and big catches too. Real clutch moments coming out of him. I think he even had a Randy Moss moment. I don't know if you're going to see it in the next highlight packages. So to me, I'm like, you have Purdy playing good. He has like his number 3 receiver who might be his number 6 option playing like a superstar. What is Stafford supposed to do to counter this? And I essentially turned this game off. I'm not gonna lie.
All right.
I gave up on your Rams.
All right, let's see what happens. All right, let's go.
And they put Juszczyk right next to Brock, so he's going to throw it.
Purdy cannot take a sack.
Wow.
Rolls out of that pressure. Still all day to throw. Still on the move. A lot of green space in front of him. He's going to take off and go back into field goal range. Oh, my goodness. To make it a 2-score game. Moody. It is no good. Another play fake. Another deep throw. Looking for Tutu. Down inside the 5. They check the play. To a draw. To Williams. Stafford knew it. His arm's in the air. Williams is in. And the Rams are an extra point away from tying it.
Well, Tutu's going to come in and out. And the most important thing for Stafford are the 2 high safeties. Light box inside. Oh, man, he knew exactly what to do. Show a quick shoulder fake and his arm.
2nd and 6. Purdy finds a man past the sticks. It's another first down.
Any yards are good. You're going for it on 4th down regardless.
Purdy stepping up, trying to take off, and he gets brought down. Big play by Braden Fisk. "43-yard punt. Here comes Smith.
Oh!
Here he comes. Xavier Smith, the first touch of his NFL career, takes the Rams out near midfield. Niners still have 1 timeout to use on defense. They'll try to burn clock with the Rams, and Williams with a good run down into the red zone. Takes as much time off as possible and spikes it to stop the clock with 4 seconds left. Carney, comeback, complete. Rams win, taking the lead with 2 seconds left. Purdy,
Hook and ladder.
Bell gives it off.
Here comes
Somber.
pitchy woo-woo.
Ayuk.
Uh-oh.
A flip back. This is Mason. Back to a lineman now. Now Saubert. Saubert still on the move. A lineman flips it back looking for Ayuk. And this ball game is over.
Oh, my God.
And Ayuk got into it with the Rams sideline.
Get out of there. Get out of there.
If you're Brandon Ayuk, just step away. It's a tough situation, and his emotions, understandably,
Buddy,
are high, but what a comeback for Los Angeles in a gritty, much-needed victory for an 0-2 team.
What a victory. What a victory. What a victory. What a victory. They're back to us. They're back to us. What a
First
victory.
thing I want to say, kudos to that Rams coach, assistant coach there, for basically stepping up to protect an opposing player. Although one could argue he doesn't want to fight because then his players could get caught up. But at the end of the day, Ayuk looked like he wanted to start something, and usually that's the guy that's going to get punished by the league. That's the guy that might get suspended. So he rushes up. I don't know if it's by instinct or I don't know if it's brotherhood or whatever, but like he's like, no. I need to de-escalate this because the 49ers coaching staff is on the other side of the field. And you want the coaches to get in between because a player's not going to take a swing at a coach, right? Like, he's not the guy that just cheap shot you. That's what Ayuk is thinking. You just cheap shot me for nothing, right? I mean, it's a fumble. Why you hitting me like that for? To be fair to the Rams player, he probably can't say that he's sure that Ayuk is not going to pick up the ball. And, you know, big games have been lost because of those assumptions, right? So kudos to that Rams coach for stepping up and de-escalating in the way that he did. With that said, Matthew Stafford, I think, showed why at the end of the day, don't forget, I'm still here, right? You know, there might be Aaron Rodgers, there might be Patrick Mahomes, do not forget me. I think if you want to say elite quarterbacks, the list is a lot shorter than people wanted to admit at the start of the season. He's one of the guys to me that should be on it because I can't say that I knew who Tutu Atwell was before this game, but he was the go-to guy. Now, it's almost kind of a shame because when you compare his yards, 93 yards, 4 receptions, to Juan Jennings, 11 receptions, 175 yards, and 3 touchdowns, you're like, come now, man. But at the end of the day, it wasn't about Tutu Atwell. It was about Matthew Stafford. It was about Matthew Stafford with his guys who he had left elevating their play. Yeah, they had to step up, but essentially, when your main 2 receivers are out, and you're going with your third option as your number 1 pass catcher on the day, you know it's going to be the quarterback, right? When your main center is out and you now have to try and figure it out with your point guard, you know he's going to have to do something and step up and be special, right? He can't just get the easy throws, the easy passes to the inside, to the center anymore. He has to now field general that game. And I think Stafford elevated his team. And let's not forget, it was a comeback as well. The difference between this and Cowboys' comeback was this one was successful.
All right.
And if I was Kyle Shanahan, as good as Purdy played, and some of my players played, I am going to have to ask. There was one turnover, I think it was a fumble. Was that the difference? Because there wasn't a lot of performance differences in this game.
But
and the margin of victory was that small.
Do you feel as we go to the next game that the supporters of San Francisco 49ers would be worried, concerned?
Mainly because of the record being 1-2, and they just lost an 0-2 team. They were 1-1, they just lost an 0-2 team. I would think that it's not the same concerns as last year, which that at least is something. We don't have to worry about Purdy and the offense like we did last year. But to some extent, if I was to say on paper who was supposed to win this game, it's supposed to be the 49ers. And maybe it's Matthew Stafford showing a flash of greatness like the league is not accustomed to just overall. And maybe he's going to put something together this year and make a run. Not saying he's going to win the Super Bowl, but make a run. But yeah, because this is potentially also one of the teams you may have to face later on. So if he's going to do it without any of his guys, you still have some of yours. You have the star wide receiver on the field. What went wrong? And I am wondering if Kyle Shanahan, as good of a coach as he is, his rep, the story on him, the book on him might be, yeah, he's going to be good. Yeah, he's going to have a good offense. He's going to have good numbers. His team is going to go to the playoffs. Not necessarily going to win. Right. He was the offensive coordinator of the 28-3 debacle against New England. Let's not forget that.
I knew you would hear about New England again.
Yeah.
How many times? Anyway,
yeah, always.
Let's move on to the other game, not involving New England.
Lions Cardinals.
The Lions Cardinals. Let's go.
Murray throws a little high and incomplete. Marvin Harrison was open on the turn, but Arnold was back there. And it's 4th and 7. And it looks like they're... Murray. Oh, snagging that out of the air and going to the ground is Marvin. Murray DiMercato is in the 3rd down back. They need 10. Pressure. Hutchinson coming. Floats one a little too much for Michael Wilson. Extra lineman in. You see Skipper wearing 70. David Montgomery will bounce out of the line. Look at that. Pick up 9 and then more.
Just keep going, baby.
Riding. Talk about a surf. He was riding the surf of Lion teammates.
And they rally behind their coach. They absolutely love him. And now they're in this 4-minute offense, just absolutely pounding the rock.
Nice play by Buda Baker, still hustling, and it's 4th down. The Lions be expecting that. He was effective in the first half. And dumps it off to Dortch, who stays on his feet. And little Greg Dortch gets the first down. Safety. A 2nd and 1. Murray's pass is high, but hauled in. Did he hang on? Michael Wilson went to the ground, and they're ruling that a catch.
You're moving now.
Dumps it short at the 40. Putting a move on down the sideline and out of bounds. Elijah Higgins, reserve tight end to McBride. Murray in trouble. Swallowed up at the 40. And Hutchinson gets one. Big 3rd down. Need 17. Middle of the field, they'll get some of it. And they're in field goal range as Dortch makes a tough catch. And he's got it. 2 for 2. On 3rd and 12. Play clock. 3, 2. Snap. Goff. Time. And right on target. Amon-Ra St. Brown for the first down at the 46-yard line. No more timeouts for Arizona. Goff is going to keep. And look like Kyler Murray sliding around the 40. And home against the Commanders, who play on Monday night. So now the Lions are 9-0 after a loss since the middle of 2022. Dan Campbell's team resilient, as Jared Goff talked about.
All right, your thoughts on that game, the Detroit Lions?
A bounce back win, despite the fact that, you know, they played a great game last week. That's why I was in this, and this is why I said when you started off, right, you know, how things are looking in week 3. I think it's the eye test. Aiden Hutchinson with his 5 sacks last week. They played decently last week. That's why I'm not worried about them. That loss, I mean, chalk it up. That's just how it is early season. Don't mind the Chiefs are undefeated, but that's another story, right? So with this game, I found it interesting. First of all, there's a superstar in Cardinals that I think you just, as a football fan, it's almost like if you're on offense or on defense and you need to account for play on the field, well, as a fan or media person, you need to account for a superstar in the making in the league, and that is Marvin Harrison Jr. of the Cardinals, number 18, 6'4", son of Marvin Harrison Sr., the initial main target of Peyton Manning, Hall of Fame wide receiver. This guy, he's like the wide receiver. He's like the Manning family version of the wide receiver almost, right? So he's a superstar in the making. He has all of the gifts, it seems like. Not just height and speed, but also to some extent agility, it seems. Because his father actually was only like a 6'1" wide receiver. So the son is literally potentially the bigger, better version of his father, which is scary because that's a Hall of Famer. That's a legit Hall of Famer that was an all-around beast of a receiver. But I don't believe in Kyler Murray. I don't
We
like.
know you don't like
I
him.
don't like his attitude. He's already a shorter quarterback, and he is the example I think you should use to show Lamar Jackson and Anthony Richardson is like, hey, you better watch out. You could get knocked out of the season, like this guy, right? It's not as though he's thin like Lamar. He's stoutly built like. Patrick Wilson? No, not Patrick Wilson. That's the actor.
Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
He's stoutly built like Russell Wilson, maybe even a little bit taller.
Yeah.
That don't matter. right? Because the kind of hits a quarterback could take, people want to say, oh, quarterbacks are overly protected and they're crybabies. It's like, no. They could easily get knocked out of games because they're standing still. They're trying to set their feet, which means they're going to set their foundation, right? It's very easy for a joint to bend the wrong way. And a lot of other players, once their legs are okay, they could still play. They don't need their shoulder to be in any particular good way. Maybe a linebacker, it might matter, right? But they need their legs more than anything else. But with a quarterback, you take out the right shoulder, the right wrist, the right thumb, the right pinky, all of a sudden there are problems.
So, but let me ask you about Detroit Lions. Are you seeing them more than you see in Atlanta? Clearly that's what you're seeing in terms of progression. Achievement.
So they should be further along than Atlanta.
Right, okay.
Right? They should, I would imagine, if they are not ready to challenge for the Super Bowl now, it would be next year. And to be fair to the team, because the thing is, you can't take it for granted you're always going to have a next year. So one could even argue next year might be too late. Because to some extent, you need to keep the upward momentum. You don't want to stall. Because if you stall, it's very easy then for your program. Winning cures all ills. But
yes.
if you stall, all of a sudden, maybe somebody has an issue with the next guy, and they have this socio-relationship conflict there, and then trust in this part of the team breaks down, or you might have a situation like with the Seahawks when they wanted to throw the ball on the 1 yard line, and Pete Carroll never recovered with regards to his I would argue Hall of Fame defense in the Legion of Boom, and their pass rushers from that generation, those linebackers. The man had literally most of that defense probably could make a case of being in the Hall of Fame just based on their limited stats in their big window, right? I mean, that was how good a lot of those players were. And they lost because of an offensive play call. The running back laughed in his face. Like, you can't catch up to that. Not saying that this is going to what's happened to the Lions. They built a great culture, right? But they need to kind of keep the momentum going, keep growing, because one of the things is you have to give yourself the best chance to keep growing, because if they don't make it this offseason, then the GM is going to try to tinker with the roster, and sometimes you get additions by subtractions or you get subtractions by addition, right? So they have one of the best pass rushers in the league right now. I think he is in top 5 for both sacks as well as carrying the quarterback in Aiden Hutchinson. Goff is playing. I think he's living up to his billing, which for whatever reason he couldn't do with his previous team, the Rams. I think it's something to do with Dan Campbell as a coach. Right now, if I had to say who the best coach in the league is, I actually may argue it's him, because Andy Reid has Patrick Mahomes. And people want to discount Belichick because he had Brady. You could do the same thing with Andy Reid. When you have the best player on your team, who is the best player in the league, who's doing all the right things, it's very easy to look at the rest of your team and it's like, hey, that's the example. That's the standard. Who are you to not follow that standard? Because you ain't better than Patrick Mahomes. That's right now. Aaron Donald retired. One could argue pound for pound, that's the best player in the game, right? So who's going to say I know better than that? Meanwhile, Dan Campbell had to pull the Lions out from wherever they were. And he did it in relatively short order. The Panthers, the Bears, the Colts, the Texans, even your team, the Jaguars, my team, the Patriots, the Browns, right? There's a whole host of teams that would love for their rebuilding process to go this relatively quickly. So hats off to him. Amon-Ra St. Brown still has the most interesting name in all of football. Yeah, top flight pass catcher. I don't know to what extent some of the windows of some of the skill positions might be closing, but they have a core. They do have a young core. The key is you can't take it for granted. Seattle's window was very small. New England basically had to reopen the window to get their next 3 Super Bowl wins, and so on and so on. Tampa and the Chiefs and the Rams, they basically only got 1 win, period, right? The Chiefs, they're actually able to go through the process while still winning, which is incredible to see, just to tell you how special that situation is, right? So I really, really want to see how far these Lions could go.
All right, we're going to take a short break for a little commercials, and then when we come back, we are going to go to the last set of matches, and also we're going to do a review of all the matches, and then look ahead to what's next. Welcome back, welcome back. This is WESN Content Capital, Face of Sports, and we are talking the NFL recap here. Sean Michael Small is with me. Sean Michael, we're going to go to the last game involving the Philadelphia Eagles and the Saints. Let's see what happens.
You got to defend every play on the play sheet.
On 3rd and short, it is Camaro. He's got room to bounce it outside and get a first down for the Saints. He's thrown out of bounds late by C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Wanted a flag, won't get it. Pressure coming, picked up, open man, Chris Olave, first down Saints. Carr in rhythm, finds Olave for 15.
Again, another 3rd and long drop back. We have not seen that a lot out of this Saints offense.
Converted one on this drive, trying to do it again. It's Olave the same way to convert 3rd down and long. Chris Olave. It's another 3rd down and long. They've converted twice to Olave. Hit at the line and incomplete. Jalen Carter has made a couple plays on this first possession, and the Eagles have forced the field goal attempt.
Again, their red zone defense, the best thing about them this year so far.
And it is off of the upright end through Blake Groupie. Brown, second game without their star receiver. 3rd and long. Hurts is in trouble and sacked. It's Alontae Taylor, shot out of a cannon. The Eagles are on their heels all 3 plays right there. Saints back on offense. Play action on first down and a sack from Jordan Davis. 2 guys that have been MIA early on. Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis both making early impacts here, Greg. -9 on 3 plays on the first drive. Hurts hits the crosser. Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith tiptoes the sideline and has 23 yards on the first play of this drive. Fake to Barkley. Heavy pass early on. Hurts looking deep. He's got Dallas Goedert. Goddard's inside the 15, size advantage, and a step on Tyrann Mathieu for 44 yards.
So they bring
4-man rush, given time into the end zone, picked off. Tyrann Mathieu, turnover machine. In his 12th season, he just keeps on doing it.
And not really worry about the run, and then massive turnovers come. That was their formula.
A 3rd down pass play, and it's batted down at the line of scrimmage. That's the second ball that's gotten hit at the line by Jalen Carter.
Got them leads early. That was the magic formula. They're still trying to find it again.
Barkley has a hole. There's a crushing blow there at the line of scrimmage that he snuck by and got a first down. Saints bringing pressure. Outside Britton Covey. Got around to Debo, and Britton Covey's got a first down. Outside it is Goddard for a first down. Similar look to what they ran on the 3rd down play late last week where Barkley had the drop. Flings it outside to Goddard. His 10th play of the drive. Hurts looking long. Pressure from behind. Ball is out. The Saints have it. Granderson forced it and Willie Gay recovered. The second Jalen Hurts turnover.
Sean, this is a low-scoring game.
This is a defensive fight, which I would not have expected. Because the thing about the Eagles last year was it was like the defense just kind of left them, right? Now, they lost their middle linebackers to free agency, I believe, last year. And they lost some of their pass rushers, but not all. Then they lost Fletcher Cox to retirement this year. So the thing is, I didn't know if their defense was going to get back on track, right? They still have Jalen Hurts. They're still, a big-name team. They're still going to be a contender, blah, 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 blah. The Saints just shellacked the Cowboys last week. And it's not as though the Cowboys are complete scrubs. They're just limited defending the run. I didn't necessarily expect the Eagles to be able to kind of hold firm because they did a good job keeping Derek Carr in check as well. Again, one of the things with Alvin Kamara, he's not a power back. He's not like Derrick Henry. But the trick is if you do have a faster, lighter back who can run the ball as though he's a feature back, as though he's a power back, not in stylistically, but rather in the number of attempts, right? He's going to give you the volume and rushes, and you're going to use him as a run-first option. It puts a lot of pressure on defense because now you have a guy who You can't just say, oh, well, he's a swift back, so he's going to catch the ball. He's not necessarily going to run the ball, so we're going to assume pass. What happened was traditionally, particularly with, I think, with the Patriots, they would have a specialist third down back. When he's in the game, odds are he's not going to actually run the ball. Sometimes they would, right? Mix it up a little bit, but not always, right? So one would think that the Saints should be in a good position to kind of put a lot of stress, kind of take the Eagles by surprise. But it seems as though neither offense really could get anything rolling in the first half because it was basically 3-0, which, again, I did not necessarily see this coming. Now the question is to what extent is it because the defenses are good or the offenses maybe were overrated? Is Derek Carr and the Saints offense good, or is that the Cowboys just made them look good, right? It's hard to tell. But this is one of the things. When it's even like this, it's hard to know if it's because the teams are bad or if it's because the teams are good. Because one would think right now, especially after last week, the Saints, people didn't necessarily have them high on the standings, but they made some noise now, and Derek Carr is not a scrub. And listen, since last week, I was telling you, I don't know if I want to put any stock in these young guys anymore, right? I just don't know, right? Carr has experience. I value that right now because somebody's Gardner Minshew lighting up the league. Like, come on, he's a journeyman. So Jalen Hurts, don't necessarily want to completely discount him either. So the fact that neither of these guys could get anything going, this is not the 86 Bears, this is not the 2000 Ravens, this ain't the Seahawks from 2012. What's going on in this game? I found it interesting though, because even though it was a low-scoring game, there were some turnovers, there were some good defensive plays, there were some interesting defensive reads. So I thought it wasn't as boring as it sometimes is when it's a low-scoring game.
All right, let's see what happens at the end here. Let's go.
NFL's second leading tackler for the first couple games. Kick from Groupie is right down the middle. On 3rd and 5, Hurts hits the crossing Goddard, who makes a fantastic catch and stays alive down the sideline into Saints territory. Scrambles, sets, heaves over Dotson's head.
It's a low ball flight. Gets some pressure up inside.
He misses wide from 60 yards. And the Saints will take over with good field position.
He has been an absolute force for this Philly defensive line.
Run it on 3rd and 4. Kamara looking for the corner. He's got it for a first down. Alvin Kamara needed 4 and got 5. And now a flag flies well after the end of the play.
Give yourselves a chance.
On 2nd down, Carr lets it rip for Chris Olave. Perfect strike. Down to the 25.
Checking, they see 2 high safeties, probably checking to a run.
It is for Kamara. Alvin Kamara slips his way for a first down inside the 15. Near the 2-minute warning, 2nd and 10. Carr lofting for Olave. Touchdown, New Orleans. Saints take the lead. Quick snap. Williams, low throw, not going to get it. Has had the biggest play of this game, a 65-yard touchdown.
All right, so welcome back here. From your perspective into the game.
Just one quick thing, Saquon Barkley, I think, gives this offense, similar to Derrick Henry with the Ravens, a whole new dimension. Featured back, he's a high-rung running back, first-round draft pick, so that's not something that teams could underestimate. They had a lot of balance. They had a lot of yards, 460 yards total offense compared to 219 yards from the Saints. The question is, though, it's not as though they doubled the Saints score, right? So the Saints potentially were a little bit more high on the efficiency in some ways. Eagles had an extra turnover. They had some questionable decisions. You're playing basically it's a defensive battle. It's a low-scoring game. Are you that desperate to go for it on 4th down and give up good field position? Doesn't seem like that necessarily came back to bite either team, but I found that decision by both teams questionable. They didn't do it a lot, but they kind of maybe did it too much. Eagles went for it 3 times, only got it once. Saints went for it once, failed. I'm like, just punt the ball away to give yourself better field position.
All right, well, we go, because of time, quickly, let's look ahead and you can give us a rough idea. What can we expect? What are the biggest game? Because we have a special for you coming up, people. We have on the Caribbean Premier League, we're going to hear from the Trinbago Knight Riders shortly. So stand by for that. It's coming up here on WESN Face of Sports. Yes, Sean Michael Small. Which game would you say is the outstanding game looking ahead to this week?
I mean, for the NFC South, there's the Falcons Saints. I think we want to see what's going to happen there with regards to the future of that division. But of course, there's the Buccaneers if they're going to bounce back. Texans Jaguars, that's important to you. I would say, as much as Lawrence looked bad, it's not like C.J. Stroud and Richardson are lighting up the league either. Maybe the teams are playing better.
He needs to win this game.
He needs to win this game. Well, Buccaneers, Eagles, those are also two teams in similar boats. I think the Eagles, though, they want to win this game because they want to say, Buccaneers might not be the Super Bowl favorites, but it should be a good team. This is a good win. This is a good statement win. They had one with the Saints here, right? They want to string it together. For Niners, Patriots, probably going to be another loss. If it is not, I will be thanking God and the lucky stars and what have you.
That's it.
Ravens, Bills, that's the big game. Lions, Seahawks, that's maybe the number 2 game.
Raven Bills on what day?
Raven Bills, that's Sunday night.
Sunday night, so that's
and then
big
Lions, Seahawks is Monday night. So the schedulers knew what they were doing. They got it really right this week. The only other game that maybe comes close, maybe Chargers, Chiefs, but I don't think Jim Harbaugh has them. Commanders, look out for the Commanders as well. But Ravens, Bills, Lions, Seahawks, those are the 2 games, particularly the Ravens, Bills. I'm taking the Ravens.
All right, I like the Ravens, so I can't dispute that. I don't like the Bills. All right, as we go, I'm going to wrap up here because we're going to go straight, when I finish this wrap up, to this CPL update, basically, from Vedic. And also you're going to hear from the Trinbago Knight Riders captain. So there's a lot of coming on. So as we go, let me thank Neil, the hardworking Neil. Let me thank Rodney. Let me thank, of course, Josh. Sean Michael Small is here with me. Keaton, of course, the man, Mael, when he's here, and of course, Ryan Gomez-Burke. But next up here, you're going to watch to the end, and then when the show is going to be over, you're going to hear from the CPL update, a CPL update involving possibly big news from Kyron Pollard here on the Face of Sports. See you tomorrow.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming out. I wish to welcome Mr. Phil Simmons, the coach of the Trinbago Knight Riders, and of course the esteemed captain, Mr. Kyron Pollard, who's here with us today. We've invited both of these great sons of the soil to just give some thoughts and some greetings before our final home game tomorrow. So I'm going to just give them each an opportunity to, give a brief statement on how the tournament has been progressing for us so far, and then we will open the floor for questions. Yeah? So please. You still have to go,
Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As far as TKR is concerned, we started well. I think to win 3 out of 4 away games and coming into Trinidad for the home leg, we were happy with that. Happy how we started here, but the last couple of games we haven't shown our true form. So we've been having a lot of discussion and a lot of reasoning around what needs to happen over the next couple of days, and we will be trying to make amends and start our upward trend from tomorrow night.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Just to follow up on what Coach has mentioned, yeah, we're pretty happy coming into the Trinidad leg, from what we have done. But, having said that, throughout the entire tournament, from the start of the tournament, we were hampered by injuries. Obviously, we had not mentioned, what sort of injuries we have had throughout, and we have had to sort of chop and change. Obviously, that might have caused a lot of discussion amongst yourself and a lot of fans as to why this one and that one is not playing. But, we had to battle that. But the way how the guys have, come forward through injuries and coming in at late stages, obviously, we have to commend them for their efforts. So to be in the position that we are in now, yes, we have fought, yes, we have qualified, still aiming for a top 2 finish. I just want to continue to commend the guys for the effort that they have put in throughout the tournament. It has been sort of difficult for us. And now, again, still having a couple injuries to deal with going into the back end of the tournament is something that, we're going to continue to look after. But rest assured, we are in a position where we're going to want to do well and finish 2024, as champions.
Questions?
Good afternoon. Yes. Hi, Kyron. I know that Dwayne was injured and you had to take over the bowling, and you did quite well, taking up 4 wickets. Do you see yourself in that role once again, having to carry that responsibility? And also, what's the situation with Dwayne right now?
I'm always there when you call, always on time. Yes, obviously it was disappointing, not having him in that last game. Obviously he injured his groin. So I had to fill in the boots. Obviously, when you look on Cricket Info and you look at the status as Karen Paul, I see all wrong there. So that means I should be batting, bowling, and fielding. But again, to the compliment of the guys that we have in the squad, guys are selected to do a particular role and responsibility. So, for me, the main bowlers will get the opportunity to bowl and stuff like that. And if I have to fill in, I'll fill in when I have to, or if the condition is conducive to my sort of, nonsensical bowling at times. But with that being said, with all things being equal, maybe in fit, I'll be able to contribute in all 3 aspects of the game. So looking forward to that. And as to Dwayne, if I'm not mistaken, maybe about 15 or 20 minutes ago, I saw on his Instagram. I didn't know I saw on his Instagram that I think he has called time on his playing career. I think that's it for Dwayne Bravo in terms of cricket. He has given cricket, a lot. And for us in the camp, obviously it's heartbreaking because we knew how hard he worked in order to finish this tournament and to be with us, to finish to the end. But unfortunately, the master always has different plans, and for him, it's heart-wrenching. But as a champion, we'll always say he has given it his all. And, for us as teammates and friends, we will try to do as much as possible to make him smile at the end of it. So from all of us, thank you, Dwayne. Obviously, we'll have our conversations going forward. But I think that's it for him from a playing career. But he has had a wonderful career. He has a good time, and he has represented us well as a nation and throughout the world.
Either coach or Polly can answer this. A mixed season in terms of results. Nevertheless, some fantastic performances in between as a collective team and individually. What do you all make of your results thus far going into a game against, Barbados tomorrow night, but more importantly, the Guyana leg of the tournament, and where you all want to see yourselves in terms of playoffs, etc., and final?
Obviously, I said, from a performance perspective, we played, 8 games, won 5, lost 3. You'll take that. The first step in any tournament is to qualify. If we were in 5th place or 6th place, it would be a different conversation. So you expect this to happen in T20 cricket. But given all the obstacles that have transpired throughout the season, we'll take where we are at this particular time. We have an opportunity still to finish in the top 2. We still have to play good cricket. We still have to play consistent cricket. But, this has always happened. The tournament has gotten a bit harder despite having names on paper. All teams are stronger and they're playing very, very good cricket. Tactically, they are actually up there in terms of how the cricket should be played, which is a good sign, for us in the Caribbean. So it's never going to be a walkover. We would love to be sitting on top, smiling, talking something different. But that is the reality of the situation. And again, it is known in the dressing room what's needed to be done. We have guys who have been in different scenarios, and hopefully all the experience that we have and the exuberance of the youth as well will come forth, and we'll be able to finish the tournament a lot more consistent, as you expect, because I realize in this day and age, we just expect win, and that's it. It doesn't happen in the real world.
He hasn't played the last 2 games. He had a slight injury that he's been nursing. we won't know until tomorrow. We have practice this afternoon, so we'll see what's happening with Sunil, and then we'll make a decision tomorrow on him. No, I think Sunil is the major one. As the skipper alluded earlier, we've been nursing a few, but guys are getting better and stronger as the tournament goes on. And hopefully everybody can be fit when the playoff starts.
Paulie, as a captain, all right, one probably, if not only second to Dwayne, most experienced T20 player on the squad.
Most experienced.
Right.
The most
See?
cricket.
How special is Sha'Carri Paris as a player? We know that what he's done in local cricket in Barbados, but to take him under your wings and you know, sort of develop him, what do you think, as a former West Indies captain cricketer, what do you think a player like him augurs for West Indies cricket in the future?
Obviously, it augurs well. When you talk about his scores in Barbados, but not only in Barbados, he played here in Trinidad, you know, as well for Victoria in the concluded local season as well. So again, it's something that as a team we had looked at in terms of scouting, and he coming onto the scene and getting an opportunity. Most of all, obviously, they have to play 5 games, and having a conversation and talking about just not playing because you have to play, but giving us an opportunity to select you as a normal player when that time comes is exactly what he has done as an individual. So kudos must go to him as well, taking up the baton, the mantle, to show that this is what I'm made of. And we giving him the opportunity, obviously went out to the scouts and everyone. But again, it augurs well, you know, for cricket going forward. But if I can say this, for me personally, we'd have loved as well to have some of the local guys, I mean local from Trinidad as well, in our squad from a performance perspective. And that's how we look at it, not because you're from Trinidad, we're just going to select you. We look at performances as well. So that means our own players need to have a great look at themselves and persons above as well, the development of what is needed sort of going forward, because this under 23 is made for local guys and persons to get the opportunity to fly the flag. So for Paris and Nathan Edwards, they have shown us what they can do. And hopefully in the future, we can have more of those talents coming through, because we need the next batches of the Dwayne Bravos, the Sunil Narayans, the Kieron Pollards, the Lendl Simmons, and all these persons, Ramdins from Trinidad as well. So a lot of work to be done on that.
Kieron, this is not exactly TKR related, but it's relates to the development of West Indies cricket. Mikel Govaya, an individual who is up and coming, he looks up to you. He did not have a good first game, but you could see some brilliant fielding from him. Any words to Mikel Govaya moving forward? Because he may be one for the future, you never know.
No, of course. And again, when you go back to the rules, obviously Mikel is under 23, but he was not in the list of under 23 players for us to select him. So he had to be selected by another franchise. So they selected him as a normal player. Whereas if he was in that list, we could have gotten him as well, because you talk about the talent that he has. So that's something in the rules that needs to be fixed as well. Because if you're under 23, you should be in that list. So that's one I think you guys would have missed as well, hence the reason why. But Mikel, he's a talent. You've seen him. He has been in Queen's Park. Now he's playing for Central Sports. He has been butting heads with a lot of our local icons, and the Simmons and the Emirates and the down in Central Sports. And again, as you know, we have a very, very, very good relationship. So I know what he can do as an individual once he stays on the right track. And obviously he cut my innings short for not in the last game. But, you know, when you look at it, you have gotten a couple opportunities where the first game didn't go too well for him, but he did well when they played him in Guyana and a couple other games. So long may that continue for him. The sky is going to be the limit, but you have to continue to work hard in order for success to continue to follow you. Well, when you say low scores, I don't understand what's low scores. You had a 90-odd by a 90-odd by a 30-odd by a 20-odd as well. And TKR is not made up of Nicholas Puran only. TKR is made up of 11 individuals that are stepping on the cricket field. And the way the weight of expectations at times is too much on one individual, and it shouldn't be like that. This is a team sport. You have to leave room for failures, and when you look at it overall throughout your career, you fail more than you succeed. So I would not go down the line that he's having low scores. He just got 90-odd in the game before and came not out for us to win a match when we won in St. Kitts as well. He had a good partnership at 30-odd. So again, we're not looking at that as a team. We need to continue to play well. 2-3 guys on every given day is going to perform. It's not winning every day, because then you can say Pollard has some low scores, Narayan has some low scores, this one has some, everyone has some low scores. And you look in the other teams, they also have some low scores as well. So these things happen. Well, hopefully, since you've seen that, you notice that I don't mind afterwards you come and give me some tips so I can pass on to him that he can get some big scores that can, augur well for us going forward. But what I can safely say, though, he's working hard, he's trying hard, and he's doing the best that he could at this point in time. And we can't ask for magic all the time. There's 11 players in a team, and we all need to perform at some given time. He's doing it with the ball. You questioning his performance with the ball? Okay, then. Most important.
Coach or Polly, any ideas at this time on a possible replacement for Dwayne?
No, we've been searching, and we're gonna hopefully come up with a decision sometime later today. He's only just announced that he's finished with the on-field side of the game. And I must also add my heartiest. Dwayne brings so much more than just cricket to the team. He's always helping younger guys. He's always giving advice to everyone, and I think that's one of the things that will be sorely missed. His advice while he's in the team. 3 years ago, somewhere there, he got injured finger, and every day you can see him around the boundary in that tournament. So we all want to say thank you for everything that he has brought, not only to TKR, but to all the teams he's played for around the world. And we look forward to wherever he's going next, to what he brings to that team.
I'll allow the final 2 questions because, of course, they have training. But yeah. Any other questions? Okay, so this brings our press conference to a close. I would like to, my final plug, I know we've had most of our night games with 7 p.m. and we had one 10 a.m. game. Tomorrow's game is at 8 p.m., so please, tell the world, 8 p.m. I don't want people coming at 7 and saying we start late because the bus with the players reach late or something. We start at 8 p.m. That's to accommodate the traffic that we know heads down to south. We want to see people come out in their red to support the team and their blue to support the Royals. So we've put that in place. So please shout it from the mountaintops, 8 p.m. tomorrow, not 7 p.m. Yeah? Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sirs. Have a good afternoon.